Town of Volney monthly board meeting. As a public service to my fellow residents of the Town of Volney, I have been volunteering my time to videotape meetings since January 1992. My only motive is a firm belief that an informed electorate will make informed decisions at election time that ultimately benefits us all. If you share my belief and would like to donate a grant or blank videotapes to help with my expenses, please call me at 598-5120. Thank you, Terry Reynolds. Videotapes of all Town of Volney meetings are available to rent free of charge to the public at Video World.
Let me see. I don't think so.
Yes, you're going to be yourself. Pledge. It's 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Jess Warner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Byron, will you call the roll?
Councilman Ridgway.
Here.
Councilman Rose.
Here.
Councilwoman Smart.
Here.
Councilman Warner.
Here.
Supervisor McFarland.
Here. The first order of business is the minutes of the firemen's public hearing, November 12, 1992. There's a handout which you all have. I will read the resolution. Move that the minutes of the November 12, 1992 public hearing for the Volney Volunteer Firemen's 1993 budget, having been distributed, be approved without reading. I'll move it. Second. Any discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next resolution is resolution number 92-169. Move that the minutes of the November 12, 1992 public hearing for the 1993 town budget, having been distributed, be approved without reading. I'll move it. Second. Any discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
No.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
No.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Next resolution, number 92-170. Move that the minutes of the regular town board meeting of November 12, 1992, having been distributed, be approved without reading. I'll move it. Second. Any additions or corrections? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
No.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
No.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next is resolution number 92-171. Move that vouchers numbers 472 through 499 in the amount of $8,177.35. General fund and vouchers numbers 272 through 295 in the amount of $20,118.50. Highway fund, having been audited, the supervisor is hereby authorized to pay same from funds available. I'll move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
I'll abstain because I've been ill and wasn't able to sign the bills this week.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
I'll vote yes on the ones that I signed, and I thought there was only one that I didn't, but they have me listed for 3, so I'll accept it.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Under communications, I have but one. It's one I prefer not reading, but I must. To the Volney Town Board, please be advised that I will not be seeking reappointment for the position of custodian for the Town of Volney Municipal Building for the 1993 calendar year. Due to increased family responsibilities, increased hours on my regular job, and in part the more time needed for the upkeep at the Volney Municipal Building, I find I am unable to do the adequate maintenance that would be required of me. Whomever the next appointed person will be, please feel free to contact me for any questions or information that may be needed, and I will gladly help in the transition. In closing, I must thank the Volney Town Board for giving me the opportunity to work the Volney Municipal Building these past 11 years. I might add those 11 years are all the years this building has been in existence. I have been fortunate to be associated with the fine officers, employees, and citizens who are interested in the betterment for the town of Volney. Very truly yours, Wendell Howard. I regret that he's not continuing. He is an excellent man, excellent person, and does an excellent job. Committee reports.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
can you back to,
Yes.
these, communications. There was a letter a couple months ago that you had written that we didn't read at the meeting, and that's okay, but I just wanted to comment on it and add something that maybe you're not aware of. It was a letter that you had written to Rodney Moss concerning getting some cable TV on some houses in the Baldwin Road that don't have cable TV.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know, in case you're not aware of it, there is a resolution on the books 2 years ago that I made that authorized the monies that we get from the franchise fee from cable TV to go into a special fund for that purpose. I do not believe it's ever been accredited to the account that we had targeted it for. You might want to look into that yourself if you do feel that this is an issue that needs to be addressed, and maybe we can use those monies for that. I researched it. It is allowable by law, and it just never has been addressed. We have a law in the book, or a resolution on the books to allow for that, but it just hasn't been put into that account. We get about $4,000 or $5,000 a year in franchise fees. It could have probably taken care of most of the town by now if it had been put into that account. So you may want to look into that.
I will look into it. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Committee reports, assessors. Claudia?
Okay, we have the following report from Assessment Services. This is from Jay Beitner, December 10th, 1992. The following report represents the status of the Town of Volney data collection and revaluation project as of December 10th, 1992. This report covers data collection and valuation progress to date and is in accordance with our contractual requirements. The valuation of residential parcels has been completed with the exception of new construction and value changes resulting from property splits and merges. Ongoing construction has been data collected during field review. Field review of commercial properties is approximately 80% complete. The remaining smaller businesses are scheduled to be completed next week. However, the more complex commercials are being held pending the arrival of Paul Reinhardt, since he is the most experienced in this area. Processing of the full disclosure notices will be done at Local Assessment Services, New York State Division of Equalization and Assessment, in Syracuse after the first of the year, and will be mailed to property owners sometime in February of 1993. The cooperation of the assessors, the town board, and the property owners is greatly appreciated. Please do not hesitate to bring to our attention any questions or concerns you might have. Sincerely, Jay Beitner. We also got a report from Janet LaSalle basically saying in much detail. She is our local representative from the state for equalization and assessment. A lot of what the letter is going into a lot of detail to explain basically the status of the data collection, which was said much shorter here, but she has requirements to really go into detail on it. The work to be accomplished section, commercial market and income values need to be generated, and commercial field review documents need to be organized in order for field review to commence. Corrections resulting from field review should be made to the property record cards and computer file. New construction should be collected, maintained in the inventory, and valued. Field review overrides needs to be posted to the one-liner report and maintained to the computer file. Basically, she is going to, says that they are going to continue to monitor the progress and quality of the project, and they will attend monthly status meetings and write monthly status reports. This is a free service that we get from the state to make sure when we're doing something like this that it is done to the best quality possible. If anybody really wants to read all of the detail, a copy of the letter could be supplied.
Could I ask one question, Clyde? She said something there about having a December meeting, suggesting that we're going to have one, or?
I called. Unfortunately, she was at a meeting in Albany, and she won't be back until Monday. This meeting will be with Assessment Services and her office, basically chairing the meeting, so it's nothing that we can schedule tonight because it has to meet their schedule. I was hoping to be able to connect with her so we could say what the day would be tonight. As soon as we know what day it's going to be, we'll make it public.
It's a public meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. One other thing, I don't know if you can answer it. If not, I see the assessors are here. Maybe they can answer it. I've heard the rumor that home occupations are not going to be looked at as residential properties in this upcoming data collection. They're going to be looked at as commercial properties. Is there any truth to that rumor, or what's the situation with that? Do you know anything about it? Is it true, or is it just a rumor?
Some home businesses won't be included. It would be the larger ones. And
Where do they draw the line on what's larger and what isn't?
that depends on Assessment Services. They decide that.
So some in-home occupations are going to be deemed more commercial than they are in-home occupations. Is that what they're saying?
There will be a distinction between one and the other.
The larger ones would be commercial. The smaller ones are
When you say
just a
larger,
home
you mean the size of
occupation.
the building or the size of the volume of business they do, or what do you mean exactly by line?
That's up to Assessment Services too. I don't exactly know how they would draw the line on it.
Anyone who had their business is considered that would have already received a commercial status on their business, just like they did on their home, because we have a separate building for our insurance agency, and we received a separate notice on that part.
If there is a question or somebody feels there is a problem with that classification, of course there will be a public hearing for and meeting in order for the people who have questions about that or feel it is not right. They will be sitting down with Assessment Services and the assessors themselves to review it, and if they have questions or have a problem with it, they can talk about it. And I believe that meeting is when, will that be?
Well, we won't know until they are here to schedule it.
Okay.
But anybody who wants to know if that's what they're being considered could call the assessor's office and that number. If you want to call the number during regular office hours, 598-2036, and Linda Lyons is there during the day to answer the phone. and she can set up a time with you to meet with Jay Beitner or for him to call you to explain the status.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, I guess she isn't always every day right now.
She's only there Thursdays and Fridays. She has to go down to Canastota and work 3 days.
Okay, so call Thursday or Friday.
Thank you again. Planning Board, Kevin?
Good evening. Our next planning board meeting will be next Tuesday, which is December 15th at 7 p.m. down here at the Town Hall. The major order of business that we have at this time is the pending Roma subdivision. That will be just to be located, I believe, off Kingdom Road. And at this time, packages of material have been mailed to interested parties, and we're waiting for their response. And I think we'll be meeting with representatives of the Roma subdivision on Tuesday. That's it at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Zoning Board, Jean?
Hi. Good evening. The Zoning Board of Appeals held its regular monthly meeting last night. We didn't have any public hearings, however, we did have the opportunity to discuss Roger and Patricia Dunsmore's request for a public hearing to expand their archery business and add an indoor archery range. As a result, the Zoning Board of Appeals would like to make a statement regarding the situation, and we would also like it to be a part of the record of tonight's meeting. In an advisory capacity and as a cautionary measure with regard to procedure, it is the unanimous opinion of the Zoning Board that the intent of the public notice for the December 16th public hearing is not clear. If it is the intention of the Town Board to issue Mr. and Mrs. Dunsmore special use permit to operate their business in an R1 zone, then it would be very important to follow the procedures outlined in the zoning ordinance, which specifies that the Zoning Board of Appeals issues special use permits. If, however, the Town Board would like to issue special use permits, or a special permit in this case, it is our opinion that the zoning ordinance would need to be amended or a local law adopted to specify this. It may also be in the best interest of the Town Board to check with the Oswego County Planning Board, as the Dunsmore's property is located on County Route 6. Finally, if the Town Board feels that the Dunsmore's request would be of benefit to this community, then we as a board support this. However, we are concerned about the possibility of lawsuits being brought against the town if proper procedure is not followed. Respectfully submitted, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Jean Conway, Deborah Sprague, Sam Cugarudo, Jim Hinman, and David Wingfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. I agree with everything that you say, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
While we're on this, Mr. Supervisor, I asked a few questions about this, because I had just got the notice in the box over the weekend about the public hearing. First of all, who called the public hearing? Something you did, or?
Yes. Yes.
Did you have a meeting with the board to vote on that?
No.
That is required. I mean, we can't have public hearings without a vote of the board, and we didn't do that. If you did, I wasn't around to know about it.
At the last regular board meeting, we, in talking about this issue, felt that a special meeting might be necessary, and we were in agreement at that point in time that we would like to review it together, and I thought a special meeting or a hearing might be appropriate. We might not take any action, but at least have a hearing.
Well, it may be appropriate, but we still have to follow the board procedure, which is a 5-member board here. We'd all should be notified, have a meeting, sit down, talk about it, and take a vote. That's how it's done. I mean, if I called a public hearing, I don't think you would look too kindly on that without even knowing of it. I think you have to follow the rules just as well as everyone else here. And I think we should have done this the right way, because it's invalid the way it's done right now. And Jeannie just made reference to the fact that it could be challenged in court if it's not done properly, and we've already started off on our own foot by not having a meeting calling for a public hearing.
The town law, as you are very well aware, does provide that any 2 members of a town board may petition the supervisor to hold a meeting.
Meeting, not a public hearing. Big difference. I'll just leave it at that. That's what I'm saying, that we didn't have a meeting to discuss it, and we shouldn't even be having one without that.
Building inspector. Byron, no report. Dog control,
There's no report. Joe is on dog call right now.
Joe was looking for a dead dog.
He's looking for a dog, a dead dog, and
they're hard to whistle up.
Somebody changed one to a tree. Diagnosed.
Highway department. Byron.
Highway Superintendent's report for the month of November 1992. 7 days road repair, 14 days machinery repair, 2 days installing driveways, 3 days plow and sanding, 8 days hauling ice control sand. Wages for November 92, $22,197.97. Road and machine repair, $20,118.50 for total expenditures for November of $42,316.47.
Quick comment, Mr. Supervisor. I understand why Mr. Kirby's not here tonight with the weather, but just so that you know, and you can let him know, we are going to be getting billed for the blacktop that they use at the fire department. I spoke with Donald Morey at the county budget meeting 2 weeks ago, and he said if you haven't already got it, you'll be getting a bill for it. I'm not sure what the total amount is, but plan on expecting it. Also, one more thing on the dog control. I was getting phone calls, Jim, a couple weeks ago from people saying that when they called the dog voice message, they were getting an answer saying this thing's broke, and they kept getting it for about a week. Do you know what?
I do not know, and then no one called me. I don't know why they didn't call me, Art. They're wrong.
Number.
Well, they never called and never went on my answering machine. But I can't give you a definitive answer on exactly what happened. Somehow, some way, when they...
I can, Jim.
Okay, Dave can.
It wasn't, I do not believe it was a week in total. It was a few, very few days. But what happened was Joe turned the duties over to Bill Crumpton while he was off hunting. And during that period, he attempted to access the voice mailbox. It is a little bit tricky, and you start pushing the wrong numbers, and you can get it fouled up very, very easily. And as soon as I was able to and learn of that problem, I reprogrammed the voice mailbox to give the proper response. So it was a few days. It was unfortunate, and hopefully it will never happen again.
And Dave would have been, because I knew that Dave would, if they had gotten to me, I would have immediately gotten to Dave, because I knew he could do that.
Recreation. Randy is not here. Does anybody have his report?
Randy said, I understood him to say he was going to be here because there were a couple of things he wanted to do, so possibly he's on his way. The weather's terrible, so maybe he's on the highway somewhere.
Thanks, Jim.
Could I ask a question about that too, Jim? I understand that Randy decided to take the pay, or was told he had to take his pay the other night. Is that the case?
I would defer to Dave on that one.
No, we didn't insist on it. We talked about it, and he accepted that he would take it.
I was told that you insisted on it, that he should take it legally, he had to take it or something.
No, I did not insist that he take it.
Okay. I wasn't there, I just heard that. So.
Dave?
Yes.
I think what it was is that he wanted to use part of his pay to offset some of the expenses for various programs that have taken place, and he just wanted to tell you to take that money that's his pay and put that towards him. You said you couldn't do that. What he does with the money is up to him, but you can't take his pay to put towards bills. And I think that's how it went. He wanted to take part of his pay to offset some programs that he had going on, and you said, well, no, you got to take the pay, and then you can do with it what you want, but I can't take your pay and use it to pay your bills. I think that's...
Thank you for refreshing my memory. That's exactly what did happen.
His pay is only $1 a year, but that's all he's bargaining.
No, he is getting, it's based on $1,200 a year, and he is getting a proportion of that.
Because if you remember, Howard, right from the beginning, I've asked him for something in writing or some way to say yes or no or how we were going to work payroll. The only thing that he has ever turned in is the W-4, is that right? It's the W-4 form, it's the only thing that's been turned in.
And I have asked him numerous times to in some way indicate in writing what he wanted to do. He never did that. This is the end of the year. We have to close the book.
He did it publicly back in January.
Publicly, and I'm sorry, but we wanted it, I wanted it in writing. He should have done it in writing, and I asked him numerous times, and I think you were there when I asked him on, at numerous work sessions for that data. And I again asked him last Tuesday, and he had no letter or nothing of that nature. So at that point, we had the salary monies there, and that's when Dave...
Very frankly, I am very pleased that Randy did say he would take the money. Frankly, he deserves it. He's done an outstanding job. He's worked his butt off, organizing various activities, and I'm very pleased that he did say he would take it. And as I indicated the other night, there is almost, as we discovered, there's almost no funds left in the recreation budget, and he wanted to do something for the children at the Volney school relative to a play in which you have to pay so much per actor. And in order to do that, since there is no money left, he said he would take his pay, and if that's what he does, God bless him. I think it's marvelous and he's to be commended. Anything else? Any other reports?
Oh, yeah, there's November 19th, the Volney Partnership had a meeting of the representatives from the 3 boards, and they met to hear the preliminary report from the consultants. And after that meeting, that preliminary report was sent out to all the board members and aldermen in the 2 towns in the city. Further input was requested from everyone from the boards as to their reaction to the report, and there will be a meeting of the full boards of all 3 municipalities on December 16th, and to go over the additional information from the reactions.
Is that a public meeting, Open public,
I'm not sure from the way they said it, but it is all 3 boards.
it would have to be.
Would have to be public, yeah.
Any other reports?
Well, the only thing, Supervisor McFarland, is after the first of the year, I will get a date set up for meetings on zoning update. And I will give you the dates and have the town clerk get the letters out. Also, I'd like to request the stenographer that the Planning and Zoning Board use to take all notes so that we have them, and only have to do it once.
I agree.
Yeah, she's done an excellent job.
We have advertised many times for a clerk or secretary to act at various public hearings and meetings. We have had no response, and therefore we have had to go to a commercial outfit, and the woman that is doing it is doing an excellent job, and we are very pleased. Under old business, I have a statement I would like to read, and Jim, would you look that? Sure, please. Thank you.
Can everyone, is everyone able to see that problem?
There is a perception that last month, a majority of the town board passed a town budget that was unrealistic and would markedly increase your taxes. Let us examine your 91, 92, and proposed 93 taxes and see what the actual impact is. In 1991, the total tax rate per thousand for the town, highway, and fire departments was $39.51 per thousand. If the average assessed valuation is approximately $3,500, then that homeowner was paying $138.28 for these town services in 1991. I have pointed out that through an oversight of the previous budget officer, $79,020 of revenue to be raised for 1992 was not included in the budget summary upon which our taxes are based. I will cover this shortfall in a few minutes. This amount should and would have affected our 92 taxes by an increase of $3.33, or a corrected total of $38.48 per thousand as a tax rate for town, highway, and fire departments. It is now anticipated that the town, highway, and fire department taxes for 1993 will total $43.23 per thousand. That is an increase of only 9.4% over 1991. What does this mean to the average assessed homeowner for 1993? It translates to a total tax increase of only $13.02 from 1991 for 1993. In other words, the 1991 total town services for which the average homeowner paid $138.28 will cost $151.30 in 1993. That $13.02 increase in paid total town taxes for the average homeowner in 2 years is a real bargain, especially when you consider that the funding of the Fireman's Pension Program is included. Last month, we all focused only on the town tax rate, also called the general fund. It is a fact that the 1992 figure is, albeit incorrectly, $7.84 per thousand, and the 93 budget figure is $12.49 per thousand. It is also true that this is a 59% increase. The very important point, again, is how will this impact the taxes of the average homeowner? It will increase the town or general fund tax for 1993 for the average homeowner $16.27 from 1992. This is pure and simple mathematics, not pie in the sky or smokescreen, as was suggested in letters to the editor in the Valley News. A question that I was frequently asked by Councilman Rose at board meetings going back to the regular board meeting in January is about the source of funding for the restoration of salaries for 92 from 91 made at the organizational meeting on January 2. Jim, thank you. My ongoing reply was that there is ample additional revenue that is available in that budget. Finally, after hearing this question at each of the previous board meetings, I prepared a statement for the April 9 regular board meeting. While reviewing the 92 budget to substantiate the fact there would be ample revenue to support the salary restorations in the total amount of $9,753, I discovered that the previous budget officer had overlooked the most significant page in the budget appropriation section, the page dealing with debt service. That page totals $79,020. As I have said earlier, that would and should have added $3.33 per thousand to your 92 town tax bill. In my prepared statement to you at the April 9 regular board meeting, I stated, and I quote, "The only fortunate part of this gross oversight by the previous administration is that if you total the year-end available balance, the additional projected revenue, the anticipated state aid that was not budgeted, plus a portion of the $15,000 contingency fund, the town of Volney will hopefully break even this year." End of quote. I now find that I am again being questioned about how we managed to pay the salary reinstatements and the $79,020 oversight for 92 and its total potential as it relates to the 93 budget. Frankly, there is no direct relationship, but I shall continue. Let us examine with some specific figures what I just quoted from the April 9 meeting.
The year-end available balance was $25,763. State aid received this year and not budgeted was $25,110. On April 9, I projected an increase over budget in various revenue accounts of over $32,000, with the largest being mortgage tax. The actual increase in revenue over budget in that single account, mortgage tax, was $27,982. Other significant increases in revenue accounts over budget were payment in lieu of taxes, $4,242, cable TV franchise, $4,118, building permits, $2,975, fines and forfeitures, $1,435, and youth program, $1,545. These 6 accounts alone total $42,297 over budgeted amounts, and there are others with lesser amounts over budget. Thus, if you total the available cash balance, the non-budgeted state aid, the 6 accounts just mentioned, there is a minimum of over $93,000 to cover the salary reinstatements and the $79,020 budget oversight. Therefore, we will not have to rely on the contingency fund. I believe that this administration has acted in a prudent and fiscally responsible manner, that the 92 shortfall problems have been addressed, are now behind us, and that the 93 budget is both fiscally sound and without any significant increase in your town taxes for 1993. I have copies of this prepared statement and will be glad to make them available following this meeting. Is there any other old business?
Can I comment on what you just said first of all, Mr. Supervisor? First thing I want to say is the figures that we all had last fall when we were working on the budget, you also had. Now, you're accusing the previous town board of overseeing and missing certain things, and I contend that you as the incoming supervisor missed the same things because you had the same paperwork we all had, and if we missed it, so did you. And you're blaming us for it, and you're the one that had to live with it. And you should have caught that yourself, and apparently you didn't catch it until the first of the year. But in any case, I think you made it perfectly clear tonight. Yes, we got through the year in fine shape. And we did that despite the fact that you raised the salaries back up, despite the fact that you bought a payloader for our highway superintendent that he told us we wouldn't need for a few years because we bought him a conveyor last year. Also, you sent people to meetings that weren't budgeted for. You did a lot of things that weren't budgeted for this year, and we still made out okay. So I still say that we did not have to face that kind of an increase this year to provide the services that we've been providing to this community. No, you're talking about, what's that, $5 or $6 for the town taxes alone? I remember 2 years ago, Mr. Standard, Lawrence Standard, standing here telling us not to raise the fireman's budget when we did. He was concerned about saving $1 for the taxpayers. He said some people can't afford that $1. Now, a lot of people can't afford that $6 or $7 either. And I still think it was way out of line.
I would like to address now, Howard, your first comment about we should have known. The preliminary budget that was introduced at the public hearing last year had all the correct numbers in it as far as the totals were concerned. The preliminary budget was then completely ignored, and a whole new budget was prepared and verbalized only. And when it was finally passed, it was passed without hearing. It was passed at a meeting following Thanksgiving Day last year. Everything was read, nothing was in writing. There wasn't a single piece of documented evidence in writing where any one of us could have known what the totals were or what the individual accounts were. It did not come out until the final budget was sent to Oswego for tax purposes. It was at that point that I received a copy of the final budget, and that was when the error was in it. At no time during the budgetary process did any one of us ever see that final budget that was submitted to the county. And I think Byron will attest to that.
Well, I don't know how that could have happened, because it was right here in this town hall, and you were here just about every day back then. I don't know how you could have missed it.
Howard, I will show you
Look up your preliminary budget, it's right in the fact.
So the preliminary budget was one thing. We changed it. After a public hearing, I made all the
It
changes.
was
that were in
changed
there.
publicly, orally. It was never changed in writing.
That's right, it was done at that meeting.
No,
After we
sir.
heard the public comment, we took action like you didn't do last time. We took action, we trimmed that budget, because I was
Trimmed it.
prepared to make cuts.
Excuse me, Howard, you trimmed it, but you never gave any totals, and the totals...
The totals were read off, and we have a man taking minutes right here.
The totals were never read off because they were not known.
They certainly were.
They were not known, Howard. You did
I
not-
read those figures off as I was presenting them. How can you say that? And Byron took the minutes. I've got a copy of it on audio tape.
They left the meeting.
That's why you didn't know you left the meeting.
I will dispute that, and I will bring in evidence next meeting, Howard, that those total figures were never known to the
The
public.
total figures, right, but the figures that I changed in the budget were known that night. I didn't give a total that night.
But the error was not in what the individual figures, the error was in the total figures, and those total figures were never seen again until the budget was submitted to Oswego.
By our supervisor at the time. I didn't even see them until it was submitted. I didn't see the final results until...
So that, then there is no possible way that any one of us could have seen that mistake until the new year when the new budget...
No, that was done in December. He had that done in December, because I believe it had to be there, what, December 10th, Byron?
20th of November.
20th of November, there you go. So on the 20th of November, it had to have been public information, and you had to have known about it.
Howard, you forget the final budget hearing was done totally verbally, with a tape, totally verbally, in the conference room on November 26th. At no time were total numbers mentioned.
I agree. They
Okay.
came out the 20th of November when Mr. Kitts had to present his budget to the county, and everyone knew about it then.
The budget wasn't finalized, Howard, until November 26th.
Whatever the date, it was done that month or before the first week of December, and it was well before you took office.
But it was never in writing. Never.
It was in writing by Mr. Kitts. He prepared the final budget.
That he did and made a tremendous error.
As
Okay.
far as the payloader goes, that was bought out of an equipment count in the highway budget that was encumbered. It could not be used for anything else but equipment, and it did not affect any other number but itself.
Well, we were told in November of 1991 that if we bought him a conveyor for the dirt, that he would not need to replace that loader for a number of more years. And then 2 months later, you granted him a new loader.
That came out of the highway budget, was encumbered into the equipment account. You cannot take money out of the highway account and use it for town business.
I realize that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that we were deceived the year before.
Any other old business?
Yes, I have a few more things, Mr. Supervisor. First of all, I'd like to know why the locks on the doors in this building are being systematically changed so I cannot get in certain rooms, particularly the assessor's office. Why is that lock changed now?
That lock is changed to prevent anybody from going in, Howard, except the assessors.
Except the assessors?
Including you, yes, sir.
Oh, so no one on this board has a key to that room?
That's absolutely true. I do not.
Well, I think you're fools for doing that, because we are supposed to be looking over all the records of this town. We are responsible for them, not just the assessors.
That is privileged information.
No, it is not. It is not privileged information.
Some of that information is.
If I need to get in there, I will break that lock, and if you want to call the police on me, go right ahead, but you cannot stop me from doing my job. If I need access to records, I will get them.
Tax rolls are public information.
That's right. And all the records in this building are our information to use at our discretion to do our job. I'm just getting a little tired of opening doors and finding out I don't have the key to fix them anymore.
Howard, if you need information at any time, and the assessors are here, they will be glad to furnish that information to you. But to go into their office without authorization or with nobody there, I am not going to allow it. That is why you don't have a key.
Okay. Next. Use of this town hall building. Now, last month, you told me you had a law that you were going to present, and I've called here a couple times over the past month, and I have not seen a law yet. Where are we at with that?
Okay. I'll cover that now, because I know I would be covering on their public comment. There is a resolution in here revising that ruling relative to the use of the municipal building.
This law is state law or county law, or what kind of law?
That 174?
Yes, resolution number 174. Okay, I'll give you the background on it. Last year, I had an opinion from the county attorney that stated that the municipal building could not be used for fundraising purposes by outside organizations or any organization. I have since, in researching all this, found that that particular opinion of the law was in my office and has since disappeared. In attempting to find it again, I found many other rulings relative to the use of this municipal building or any municipal building. That over the years, the rules change according to the desires of the communities. They're very flexible rules. And I even found one that, Dennis Hawthorne, town attorney, found one that prohibited the use of the municipal building by outside organizations. But that, again, was an old ruling. So I took it upon myself to try to clarify it, and I called the comptroller's office for his opinion as to the use of this municipal building for outside organizations. I also called the attorney for the Association of Towns, and they said the exact same thing. And in fact, when I was talking, and it appears in the resolution states that that these facilities, that towns may make their facilities, make available their facilities to private organizations so long as, one, it is available to all organizations on an equal basis, and two, that adequate and fair compensation is received for the use of those facilities. I explained to the comptroller's office, and there were two counselors I talked to on two separate days. One did not realize that I had talked to the other, and they both said the exact same thing. You are disobeying the law now if you are allowing outside organizations to use your facility without adequate compensation. And that's where I stand on it.
That's where you stand on it. Well, I also talked to Kevin Crawford, who you're referring to, and I must have spoken to him a few days after you did. And what he told me, I called him for the same reason, and what he told me was that you had called and were asking about a law, and he told you that as far as he knew there wasn't one, but he'd research it for you. And he looked and looked, and he said he got back to you and told you that he couldn't even find a controller's opinion on the situation, that there was no such law, but you could enact your own law as a local municipality if you wanted to. Now, he said you could. He didn't say you have to. He didn't suggest that you had to. He just said you could. I'm just wondering why it is that we have to be so restrictive with this town hall. Earlier this year, when you changed our original motion of 2 years ago, you stated in it that you can make it continue to be available to all nonprofit organizations, excluding ecumenical. And it seemed to be targeting churches at the time, and then you found out you couldn't do that. And then when Mr. Hinman from the church asked to use it, you came up with another reason. So it seems like you're targeting the church, or particularly his church, I don't know, to try to keep him from using his town hall. I just don't understand your reasoning why we cannot open this up to the public. As long as it's not a private thing, I don't see any reason why anyone couldn't use it. He even made the statement last month about what if someone is sick and dying of cancer and someone wants to have a fundraiser for him. Well, it's a nonprofit organization. Are they going to be denied the use of this town hall for that purpose? I think that would be wrong if we did that. I think we got a nice facility here. The taxpayers paid for it. I see no reason why, as long as there isn't some orderly control and fairness about it, we can't open it to everybody and anybody that lives in this town. And, I mean, this is your motion. If it gets passed, so be it. But I just don't understand what your true motivation is for this.
You respect Mr. Kevin Crawford's opinion?
Yes, I do.
And let me read his letter to you. I have been unable to find any opinions which prohibit the use of town properties by an organization which would use it for fundraising purposes. The only opinion which does address that point is unfortunately opinion number 84-31 regarding the use of the golf course in the city of North Tonawanda, which happened to belong to the city. So it wasn't really, it was applicable, but it was applicable in the sense that they must charge for the use of that facility because it is municipally owned. And it goes on with the next paragraph. The state controller has fairly consistently opined that towns may make available their facilities to private organizations so long as, 1, it is available to all organizations on an equal basis, and 2, that adequate and fair compensation is received for the use of those facilities. I won't read the rest, but he is again stating that we must be compensated for outside organizations.
Outside the town, maybe, but I don't think the taxpayers.
Outside organizations.
Well, that's something we have a decision to make. We don't have to do that. And he doesn't say it's illegal not to do it, does he?
Let us discuss this when the motion is made.
All right. I've got a few other things in their old business. One, why is it that the historian's position wasn't advertised along with all the other appointed positions coming up? Is there a reason for that?
Doesn't have to be. I'm going to 2-year appointment by his appointment.
I don't remember being a 2-year. We
Well,
made it a
don't-
2-year
never has
appointment.
been.
It is an appointment by the supervisor.
I realize that, but it's also supposed to be advertised like everyone else. I mean, there's probably other people that may be worthy of this position too that never even get a chance. I don't remember the last time it was advertised, Byron. The last 3 years it hasn't been. I just think that it should be, just for the sake of those that might be interested out there, that, you know, what kind of message are we sending to them that, you know, sure, I know you feel Byron is doing an excellent job, but there's other people that may want that opportunity as well. I think it should be advertised. I want to ask about my statement last month about this blacktop issue. I asked for a continuation of investigation into that. Has anyone else besides me on this board done anything with that, or are you still hoping it'll just go away? What is your status on that?
I haven't done anything.
Okay, well, I'm still looking into it, and I still can't seem to get Mr. Curfew or Mr. Buck here to address it. So I'm just going to make a little brief statement as to what I think this is all about based on my discussion with Donald Morey, Superintendent of Highways of the county. And I spoke at their last budget meeting about this issue, and I directed a lot of my comments to Mr. Buck, who was there. And it appears that this whole thing was just I'm going to call it favors for votes, because that's all I can figure it out to be, because it wasn't done in the interest of this town, and it wasn't done on the up and up where everyone knows about it, it wasn't accounted for, and I resent it, and I don't like this kind of thing, and I hope it doesn't happen again, but that appears what it's all about. I asked Mr. Buck in the hall after the county budget meeting why it is he doesn't come to these meetings to address these issues with us, and he just pointed his finger at my chest and said, it's because of you, Howard. And that's his final comment on that. So I guess if we don't see him, that's his reasoning, whatever that means. But in any case, I just wanted to share that with the board, and I will continue to find out more about it as I can. Another comment, we have a resolution on the books that, to my knowledge, hasn't been rescinded, and I don't know if it's being followed. Byron, are we still keeping audio recordings of all our meetings available to the public, or have you stopped doing that?
I haven't been making any for the public, no.
Well, that was a resolution 2 years ago, and
You've got it all on cable right here. These are my tapes, this is my machine.
I know that, but we made a resolution, we bought a tape machine,
When
we
you
bought
got a
tapes.
machine, you started taping?
I have my own, I have my own personal machine, Byron. We had a resolution on the books for you to do it. We bought a machine, we had the tapes, and it should have been done for the last 2 years. Everyone doesn't have cable TV, and that's why we had that resolution. I'm sorry you haven't been following it. That's all I have.
Terry, you want to put in a plug? You're making them available for the public?
Yes.
Okay.
My whole library is available to the public at no charge for the entire public at Video World.
Okay. So is ours, Dave.
Okay?
Not a video world, though, it's video keepsake.
Okay. Thank you, George.
Well, once again, everybody doesn't get cable TV, so I think we should still continue to do that.
Any other old business?
Yes. Last month, you had requested that the firemen look into the issue of the fire hydrants. And I got a call from Lauren Knapp. There were some
Infinito.
Right. There were some things going on at the fire department over on March Road, and he wasn't able to come to the meeting as he had originally planned. From checking out the situation over there, it is the opinion of the fire department that the first issue that needs to be addressed is if anything needs to be done to the water tower and altitude valves, because if they aren't correct, it's not going to do any good what you do to the fire hydrants themselves. And they didn't feel that there was anyone in the fire department that had sufficient expertise to be sure that the right recommendations were being made. His suggestion was that we check with John Florick at Fulton Waterworks for a recommendation of whom to contact to check this out for us. If it's going to be, it's the opinion of the fire department that if it's going to be very expensive, we might better wait, since it appears the county is going to be bringing in a new water line into the area. It might be a waste of town funds to put a lot of money into it, but if it's only going to be a small amount of money to improve the situation there, maybe we could get a recommendation from an expert, and John would be the best one to ask for who that would be.
Thank you, Claudia.
Are you chairing my water district now, Claudia? How do you get all this information and I don't? Lauren's my neighbor and I knew nothing about this, and I'm chairing the water district.
Well, I'm the liaison to the fire department, so he called me.
Okay.
I asked Claudia if she would follow up on that letter, memorandum I sent regarding that situation.
Why did you ask me, Dave? It's my district.
Because she's the liaison with the fire department. And that letter went to her.
The liaison is more important than the water district chairman, I guess.
Any other old business? We'll move on to public comment on the resolutions. Yes.
Mr. Supervisor,
Name, please.
Pastor Jim Hinman of the Bristol Hill Church, I would like to address resolution number 92-174. I have a letter here pertaining to the discussion last month. I don't know if you want that now or during the public comment concerning this issue. Would you like it now?
If it's germane to the resolution, yes.
Okay, well, it does, and I'll tie it in then. Upon your denial of the use of the large activities room in the municipal building by the Bristol Hill Church, and your mention of a, in quotation, specific ruling which states that a municipality may not allow the use of its building for a charitable fundraising purposes in your October 30th letter. But said letter fails to state specifically what law. Under the Freedom of Information Act, I respectfully request a copy of the above-mentioned law or your reply in writing. Mr. Supervisor, I would like to take exception to the first sentence where it says, "It is desire of the town board to continue to make available the facilities at the Volney Municipal Building." It sounds like a lie. If you refuse the church and you're saying you're continuing, there's a discrepancy here because you've made an exception to the church. Is the church exempt from this resolution or not?
It is not exempt. Will be made available to you. However, a fee will now be involved because you are not
connected with a government, you're an organization outside the government sphere.
How about the senior citizens?
They are supported by the town. There are monies available made to them, therefore they are exempt.
How about organizations like the Oswego County Opportunities?
I believe they receive county money and therefore are exempt.
Okay. I just want to point out very forcefully that the whereas of this resolution is incorrect because the town did not make the building available for the Bristol Hill Church. I would also like to point out that, as you said, according to the state controller, you may, so I heard you say may, I believe, charge for the use of the building. I don't know why things have gotten so tight, but I know that in the resolution that the past town board made, nonprofit organizations could use this building with a $50 deposit, and then upon checking the building to make sure that nothing was broken or damaged, the whole $50 was returned. And now you're requesting, which seemed very reasonable. I mean, after all, it is taxpayers who are using this building. And now that you need $25, I just wonder, is the solar heat broke? Or
yes,
it's not working, and
Right.
so, I mean, why isn't the money that the people are paying the taxes, why isn't that enough? I know that the church paid $50 twice and had it returned by Mr. Rowley. Did anybody else pay the $50 during those 2 years, Mr. Rowley?
To my knowledge, nobody but government organizations used it in that 2 years.
Not true.
Well, then they lied to me. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I think I would take exception to this resolution 174 because I believe the taxpayers are already paying to use this building.
and I will again repeat, Mr. Henman, that the Association of Towns Attorney, Mr. Crawford, and the State Controller's Office both insist that there be compensation paid for outside organizations. Any other public comment on resolutions? Yes.
Mr. McFarland, my name is Alan Kester. I wonder if you could explain resolution number 92-177 and tell us what you're going to fill in the blank down there on the uniform percentage of market value of blank percent. Could you tell us what that's about?
That will be addressed when we make the resolution.
But if there is the question, I'd give Mr. Kester the opportunity to ask his question at that time, right? Even though there's no public comment. Because his question,
give the introduction to it.
or do you want to give it, because he needs to have an opportunity to speak to it.
All right, for the past year, I have been meeting with representatives from the state, county, school districts, and other towns and assessors to gather the information necessary to make an informed decision as to what percentage of full value we should go to. From all these conversations, it became obvious that the basic choice is between 10% and 100% of full value due to understandability. Since 100% just states what the full value is, and 10% only requires adding 1 zero. As for example, an assessment of $10,000 would mean a full value of $100,000. From the viewpoint of understandability for both the public and the grievance board as to what assessment is, obviously 100% is easier. Also from the computation angle, the 100% value is also easier. However, from other points of view, 10% is better. 10% would give a higher benefit to the eligible funds veteran, all of whom are combat World War II veterans who are retired and on Social Security. This would help keep their taxes under control. Also keeping it at 10% would protect the homeowners. Presently, we have railroads, pipelines, utility lines, other things of that type going through our town. These are called special franchise taxes. If our equalization rate takes our assessment over 100%, which it would if we went to 100%, since the equalization rate is set on 3 years ago, we could have to artificially lower the taxes of the special franchises. They have a guaranteed ceiling percentage of value that we cannot tax them over. The equalization rate could artificially take it over the ceiling, and everyone else would pay higher taxes to make up for it. Also, the same problem with the equalization rate that affects the special franchises would also affect the outcome of court decisions if a business challenged the assessment in court. I spoke last week with a school administrator from Skinny Atlas at an assessment meeting in Syracuse. They had gone to 100%. A large industry in the area took the assessment to court, since with the equalization rates, everyone's taxes went to 140%, not just that industry, everybody's. The court lowered the assessment so it would only be 100%. This drastically hurt everyone else, since they obviously were still capped at 140%. Since the courts don't understand the equalization rates, and neither do many other people, this is happening all over the state. Also, from the conversation I had with Doug Hartraft from the audit and budget with the county, I found out that we would have an easier time with the county apportionments if we go to 10%. Mexico went to 10%, and they had much less problems with artificially high taxes than Granby and Schuylkill that went to 100%. So it is therefore my recommendation that the percentage that we as a board choose of full value would be 10%.
Can I make one comment? Thank you for that. That made things clear. When you were talking about the veterans exemptions, which one was that again?
Eligible funds.
That's the World War II veteran?
Yes. The alternative funds veteran, it doesn't matter which percentage of value we go to, since it's set on a percentage. Theirs would not be thrown crazy with either one. It'll be exactly the same either way.
Well, thank you for looking out for World War II vets, but the town of Volney passed a resolution prorating their the same percentage if you went to 100% 9 years ago. Is that right, Jim?
I believe so, yes.
So,
Okay, but that's not the way it works. Because it would protect them for town, it would not protect them for county. That was the problem.
oh, okay, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, because the county did not have a corresponding resolution. No county in the state did.
Any other questions or comments on the resolutions? Hearing none, we'll move into them. The first one, number 92-172, move that the town clerk be authorized to advertise for bids to furnish special diesel fuel for the highway department for the year 1993. All bids to be received prior to the 7 p.m. year-end meeting of the Volney Town Board Tuesday, December 29, 1992, at which time they will be publicly opened and read. I'll move it. Any discussion? Byron, would you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next resolution, resolution number 92-173, whereas citizens of the town of Volney strongly support the concept of a service awards program for the members of the Volney Volunteer Fire Corporation, as evidenced by their support of the public referendum voted upon at the general election November 2, 1992. I might point out at this point that was almost 2-to-1 in favor of that public referendum. Therefore, move that the program known as the Service Award Program for members of the Volney Volunteer Fire Corporation, as per the document with the same title on file with the town clerk and the Volney Volunteer Fire Corporation, and as follows, be approved. I shall not read it. It is rather lengthy. All members of the town board have received a copy, have commented on it, made a couple of minor corrections or changes in the benefits to the betterment of the firemen. I will move it. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Under discussion, I would like to point out a couple of things that we added in there. One has to do with permanent disability. While they are in the process of carrying out their duties as volunteer firemen, if they are injured, incapacitated, and unable to continue their duties in that capacity, then the premiums for their service will continue to be paid until their until age 65. What was the other, Claudia?
The other one was that the state default amount of time for vesting under this program is 5 years. It was right in the state directions, but we thought in the interest of simplifying it, if someone wanted to know all of the details, that it should be included so that people would know the vesting period without having to dig out the state requirements. It was only for clarification, it wasn't a change.
Howard, Jess, Jim, any other comments, questions? Okay. Howard, would you, Byron, would you poll the town council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Next resolution, number 92-174. Whereas it is the desire of the town board to continue to make available the facilities at the Volney Municipal Building to all not-for-profit organizations, and whereas the Association of Towns Council and State Councilors have stated that, quote, that towns may make available their facilities to private organizations so long as, one, it is available to all organizations on an equal basis, and two, that adequate and fair compensation is received for the use of those facilities, unquote. Therefore, move that the use of the facilities at the Volney Municipal Building be made to all not-for-profit organizations subject to the following conditions. One, all requests are to be made to the town clerk in writing stating the nature of the use intended and the naming of a responsible person or persons. Requests to be honored on a first-come, first-served basis according to a calendar to be kept by the town clerk and posted in the municipal building. The town clerk has the authority to approve or deny all requests. However, any refusal of the facilities by the town clerk, other than as a result of a date conflict, shall be brought to the attention of the town board by the supervisor at the next regular board meeting for review. Two checks, each in the amount of $25, made payable to the town of Volney, shall accompany the request. The one check is the town's compensation for the use of the facilities. The second is refunded, providing the facility is in the same physical condition relative to order and cleanliness. Any damage during the facility's use will be the responsibility of the organization using it. 3, all town-sponsored and government-related functions, both local, county, state, and federal, are of course exempt from this fee. Any questions regarding exemption from the fee shall be referred to the town board at the earliest opportunity. The above resolution supersedes resolution number 92-11 and its amendment, resolution number 92-76, and becomes effective January 1, 1993. I shall move it.
Second for discussion.
First of all, it doesn't actually say that you can't have a fundraiser then, does it? There's nowhere.
No.
So they would be allowed then?
Yes, very definitely.
The only thing that I'm not really too happy about in this is the fact that we have to get compensated. And even if the state says that's something they suggest, I don't know if we really need to do that. I just feel that the taxpayers of this town have paid for this building, and if they can't use it, you know, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. I know the city of Fulton, I've used their municipal building for functions that had nothing to do with the city of Fulton. They let me use it for free, and we cleaned up afterwards. We did our thing, and everyone was happy. It seems to me like we're looking for reasons to keep people from using the building. And there's a lot of things in this that are good, but I just question that one in particular.
I know you would want to comply with the controller and his rulings, and that is exactly what I'm doing.
Well, if that is the case, then yeah, I certainly would. Yes.
Any other discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
I'm going to abstain for now.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
I'm gonna vote no.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Resolution number 92-175, whereas the Volney Elementary School, represented by Harry L. Law, principal, in his letter dated December 3 to County Legislator Buck, has brought to the community's attention what is jointly perceived as a dangerous traffic situation at the site of the school on State Route 3 east of the city of Fulton. It is stated that the school, quote, has experienced a number of near traffic mishaps along with several serious accidents at the 3 entranceways of the school. Therefore, move that the Oswego County Highway Department and/or the New York State Department of Transportation review the potential danger associated with this section of highway and consider the installation of blinking yellow caution lights combined with signs requesting caution or reduced speed, such caution lights to be manually activated during the peak periods of morning and afternoon school busing. I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Byron, will you poll the council? I'm sorry.
The only discussion is that this gets forwarded to the county, and then they have to forward it to the state.
That is correct. Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Resolution number 92-176. Move that a petty cash fund be established in the amount of $200 for use by the tax collector. This is authorized by Town Law, Section 64, subsection 1A. I'll move it. Second. The purpose of this is so that when people start bringing in their taxes on January 2nd or right after the first of the year, many people bring in cash, and she, in the past, has had to try to make change out of her own pocketbook, and this simply establishes a petty cash fund for her to operate. Any other questions? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Last resolution, number 92-177. Whereas there is a formal commitment between the town of Volney and the New York State Division of Equalization and Assessment regarding the town's data collection and revaluation program for the 1993 tax roll, and whereas the town board needs to pass a resolution adopting a uniform percentage of market value. Therefore, Claudia, want to complete that?
I move that the town of Volney adopt a uniform percentage of market value of 10% for the tax rolls generated by the current data collection and revaluation program.
I'll second for discussion. First, I'd like to thank you, Claudia, for the work you did on this and coming up with this figure, because I don't know if you recall or not, but in this very room this past March, when we had a meeting with the assessment services and the public, I was very concerned when I heard that we might be going to 100%, and I raised this very issue that you just discussed tonight about the utilities and about franchises and so on and so forth. At that time, everyone seemed to say, no, that's not true, and I insisted that it was. So I'm glad you found out the truth about it, and we went that route. So I thank you for that.
Well, that's why at different points during the year, people would say, well, has there a decision been made on that? And I could tell by the reaction on their faces that people thought that the decision had been made and we were just trying to hide something from them. I actually did not totally finish being totally sure what I wanted to do until after the assessment meeting this past Thursday. And that is when I met with the man from Skinny Atlas. As long as there was any vagueness in my mind about what anything was meant by anyone, I did not want to make a recommendation.
I applaud this motion.
Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye.
Any other new business to come before us?
I just have a few things, Mr. McFarland. First of all, since it looks like we're going to be sitting pretty well this year financially, this past year, even though we did have some budget cuts for trips and conventions and so on and so forth, a number of people did go, and most recently Mr. Sanford went to, I guess, the Catskills or somewhere to the tune of about $700 on a trip for assessors. I'd like to know, in light of the fact that the Association of Towns this February has some very timely topics that they're going to be discussing. One is equalization rates. The other one is types of municipal cooperation agreements. Another one is consolidation of services and amending budgets and dealing with shortfalls. And I'm just wondering, if I decide to go to this myself, is there any money in the budget for that?
I assume you got a copy of the budget, Howard, and if that's in the town board's budget...
Well, it's not in the town board's budget, but it wasn't in anybody else's this year either, and we transferred from contingency for that. And I'm just wondering if I could get that same privilege or not.
There was no money transferred from contingency.
Oh, Mr. Kerfing didn't have any money in his budget. He went to a trip that we transferred money just a month ago.
No.
Not
for that school.
We transferred money from something because he didn't have enough in it to cover it.
Yes, but it had nothing to do with school. He paid for it out of his own pocket.
He took $200 out of his contractual and paid the $500 out of his pocket to go to that school.
What was the money that we had to come up with?
To buy equipment for the snowplow so they could plow the roads. Had nothing to do with his contractual equipment at all.
So nobody's going to be going to schools this year then?
Unless it's in their contractual budget, no. If it's in their contractual budget, that's what it's there for them to attend school. In many cases, it's mandatory, as you well know.
Some cases, yes. But the people that did go this year, I don't believe it was mandatory for.
Why didn't you bring this up when we were doing the budget and put it in the contractual for the town board? You felt...
Because I didn't realize Faye has gone to trips and other people had gone on trips. And since we weren't going to go this year and they went anyway, I'm just wondering if that privilege would be extended to anyone else. That's all I was asking.
They can go if it's in their contractual.
Okay, so as long as money's in the contractual, they can go.
Yes. For a training session.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any petitions to be brought before us? Public comment? Yes.
Joyce Turner. I was just wondering on this law for the church and stuff, when you said it got lost and you went to the county lawyer, why didn't you go to our town lawyer who we pay for?
I did.
I did. You mentioned that you gone to the county first and stuff. I was wondering why.
Yes.
I have also a question regarding this motion you just made on the church.
Your name, please?
My name is Marie Austin, Dave. I think you've heard of me. I have a question regarding the motion, because you made a motion in January regarding that they could use the facility. You changed it, you made another motion, and you just made another motion tonight. And then you said there was a town law, and apparently you had a town law, and Claudia said that she saw the town law. I don't know if it was a town law or a state law that you got from Bruce Clark, I assume?
It was an opinion.
It wasn't a law.
It wasn't.
Okay. You just made another motion here tonight, but I didn't hear you rescind any of the motions that you made previously.
If you look in the resolution, they are rescinded.
You rescinded all your previous laws that you made
Yes.
about this law.
If you read it, it's there.
So are we going to expect another law regarding this building use in another 2 months? Or is this it? I mean, where did you come up with the $25?
That I surveyed other communities, and that is their charge, some $50.
Other municipalities charge $50 to use the building?
Yes.
Could you tell me one?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Sligo Town,
Thank you, Myra.
for one.
And that's just read that they don't get that back like we passed the $50 and they got it back after the building was used.
I think it's $35 they put up, and they get $25 back. Let's see, they put up 35 and a 25 if they Everything is in order, they get the $25 check and they keep the 35 or 25, whichever it is.
Is that for the year, just one-time use?
That's one-time use, yes.
So if any nonprofit organization wants to use this building, they, like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or whatever, they'd have to pay that $25?
That's correct.
Or, what about 4-H? What about 4-H?
That's
They're
cooperative
county-
extension.
That's cooperative extension, county organization. Right.
Yes.
Pastor Jim Hinman, I still think number 3 is very ambiguous. All town-sponsored and government-related facilities. I used to work for Oswego County Opportunities, and all this time I thought it was a private organization that received government funds. You mean that I receive applications for government help in energy conservation for the church. Some churches start child care in their churches and receive government funds. You mean if I start something up or give government funds, then the people of this town have an opportunity to use this hall free of charge? Is that what you're saying?
If your church starts with government funds.
If we receive government funds for
That would
something,
be under consideration.
to me it's very ambiguous.
Yes.
Christine Rosen, I'd like to ask, I'm kind of curious, why you would send Jim's request to Bruce Clark. Do you send all requests to use the town hall to Bruce Clark?
I did not say I sent this request.
Last month, you said you contacted Bruce Clark. Now, you must have, I mean, it was about this issue. It seems like Jim and his church are being, put out in the center of all this, because it has been changed so many times. Every time Jim goes to ask to use it, there's something that happens, and I think he's owed an apology, he and the church.
To set the record straight, I asked Bruce Clark only for verification of the opinion that this municipal building could only be used for, could not be used for charitable fundraising purposes. That was the only thing I asked of Bruce Clark.
So Bruce told you that it couldn't be because you stated you had the law. I don't think you had the law. I think you were going on Bruce's word.
Can I ask why you don't want nonprofit organizations to use this facility?
Because it's not that I don't want them to. I'm just saying that the state has indicated that if they are not government related, then a fee must be charged. A fee must be charged.
The state never indicated that until you started calling looking for a law that you couldn't find. They didn't indicate that until after the fact.
Not so.
Did you just contact the state last month? Did
Yes.
you say that?
Yes, I did.
Well, they wanted to use it a year ago.
I asked for their opinion relative to the use of a municipal building for charitable fundraising purposes. And their reply, and I did not use the word church, I just said an organization for charitable fundraising purposes. And their reply was, as I have stated in that particular resolution, that you cannot be discriminatory and that you have to charge for its use for non-governmental agencies or outside organizations.
You have to charge. You have no choice. You're no longer on this.
That is correct. That is correct.
I'm just thankful that there's a God who will judge you 3, because...
Oh, come on.
Because other people used this facility before, and it wasn't until I asked. Now think about it. I know what's going on.
Any other public comment? Yes.
My name's Alan Kessler. If you find out that you don't need to charge them, you could always pass another resolution deleting this fee. Is that correct? Howard's getting Howard, they change the locks on you, they give your job to Claudia here. Yeah. I guess you're supposed to quit, I don't. Do you have a key to the assessor's office? Mr. McFarland?
I have one available, yes.
You said that there's information in there that's confidential. I think that was the word you used in the assessor's office.
During the preparation of data collection, I don't think some of that information should be available to the public. Yes.
What information are you talking about?
Do you want to address that, Faye?
All the data and all of the field reviews are property that belong to the contractor.
Where did they get this information? I said in my thing, I mean, I gave them that information and it now belongs to them.
But they're not a complete record until they're done with them and turned over to us.
Okay, well, I'm still confused. It looks to me like nobody runs the assessors except the assessors. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why there isn't some town board control over the assessors. I don't understand it. I know they're elected and you're elected, but it seems to me that there ought to be some control from up here over the assessors, and there doesn't seem to be.
According to the state, the only control we have is their budget.
But it's interesting to note that this previous town board was fined $50 apiece because we didn't exercise control over the assessors. Figure that out.
You didn't pay that fine, I hope.
No, I did not.
Good. No, I believe you. I'm confused about why we need this, resolution here on. Mr. Waugh writes Bill Buck a letter, and then you pass a resolution to ask Oswego County to look at whether. Why didn't Bill Buck just do this?
It has to originate with the town.
Oldman?
Yes.
Does Mr. Buck use his office here that he has in the building?
Occasionally.
Thank you.
Another interesting note, Mr. Kestner, is that our janitor who's just resigned, Wendell Howard, he's a very honest, I don't think you can find a more honest person. He has a key to every room in this building, including the safe.
No,
apparently,
he doesn't have one.
Well, I've been in here on Saturday when no one's here but him, and the safe was open.
Well, he didn't get it from me.
Well, I'm just telling you, but the thing is, apparently I don't match up to his standards as far as what goes on in this town hall.
The janitor has the key to the assessor's office? Where all this
He has a key to the office where the town clerk's records are kept that I can't have access to unless Mr. Byron Rowley is there himself.
You know something, Howard, and I totally agree with you, and I think that has to be changed immediately, and I do not think anymore that anyone other than the assessors, the town clerk, and the supervisor have keys to those offices. And just as soon as we get a new custodian, I intend to see if that happens, and that's going to be one of the criteria that I'm going to ask for the custodian, that they make themselves available during the working hours so that those offices can be cleaned and taken care of each week. Because I totally agree with you. No one, from my point of view, should have those keys except the designated officers that have the access to them. And I firmly believe that, and I intend to do everything I can to see that that happens, because I don't think I should have access to them. I don't think you should. I don't think any of us should, unless we are that particular office holder. And that's my own personal feeling.
On that note, tell me this, why is it a year and a half ago when you weren't even on this town board, I saw you unlock Byron's office with a key and go in there one day? And I was right here in this town hall and saw you do it from the hallway here.
So you unlocked Byron's office?
You unlocked Byron's office with a key.
You would never have
Oh,
seen
yes,
me
you
unlock,
did.
because I have never used that.
More than myself that witnessed it.
I have never been able to undo the alarm system.
How would he undo
If
the alarm?
I had to undo the alarm system, Howard.
You must have done it then, because
I did not.
Okay, then. Okay.
And the alarm did not go off.
Okay.
Therefore, I couldn't do it.
Excuse me, this is public comment.
May I add that your budget thing here is a lot more coherent than it was last time. I was one of the people who wrote a letter. I would like to see what you read tonight in a letter so that I can, because sitting here and listening to your figures and reading it printed is two different things.
Any other public comment? Yes.
How does one, I'm Jean Conway, how does one have a street sign replaced? In my neighborhood, the street that I live on, apparently a neighbor of mine came to the town. I don't know who he's talked with, but he asked me to speak tonight because he couldn't be here. Our street sign has been down since June, and it's not been replaced. And I've had friends come and say they haven't even been able to find my street. I mean, now there's not that many streets in my development, so, but there's no street sign there. I'm just wondering, how does that happen?
You contact the Bob Kirby of the Highway Department, who I understand is responsible for such things.
Yeah, he is, but I'll tell you, it took me quite a while, Gene, because they're very expensive, and he'll go through, and if he's got some in his budget, he does those on street signs. People take them as souvenirs. Probably what happened to yours.
I don't know, I saw it was knocked over and then totally, I think the post was broken. And
yeah, this happened to me, and it takes quite a while, but Bob's the one you'd see.
Yes.
One more thing, and my husband might not know this, but I took a dog control call the other day. A woman called who'd had a problem, and I told her to call 598 Dogs. She said she had called it the day before, and that she had got no response, so I told her that she should contact Joe Doty, and she said, well, who am I speaking with? Whose house am I speaking with? And I said, Howard Rose, and she said, well, I have 3 phone numbers here, and they all have Joe Doty's name next to them. So I told her to call Joe and you. So there are people that are having problems because earlier in the month when that phone business was out of order, it was more than a few days because we had a number of phone calls.
I received none, so I don't know this. I can't respond because I didn't. If I had, I'd have been aware of it.
Anything else? Yes, Vic.
The storm has subsided for now, and I think we're in good shape to go home.
Yes.
Faye, I'd like to ask Faye a question. How often, I'm glad you spoke because I almost forgot, how often do you go to the homes and, from the road to do whatever you do? I mean, how often would you go to one home in particular, maybe a 2 or 3 month period?
It depends on what we were doing with it.
Well, that's what I wondered because it happened at my house.
We might be parked near your house or something and not be doing anything pertaining to your house.
Oh, okay.
We might be looking at the whole neighborhood, but we stop someplace where it's convenient.
Okay. Well, how often do you go into one particular neighborhood? How many times in a couple-month period would you go into a particular neighborhood?
Well, that would be hard to say because it might
some
be...
you might not go at all, and some you might go 2 or 3 times.
The field review goes to every parcel. But some of them we might get now, we might go back, and
well, you're free to call us if you have any questions, rather than park in our driveway. It doesn't intimidate me.
I'm Charles Smart, and they've been parked in our neighborhood numerous times, and
I didn't ask
didn't have
you.
anything to do with it. Well, you were addressing the public.
I was addressing Faye Sanford.
Right, in front of the public as to how often they might go in a neighborhood, and I thought you might be interested to know that they go in other neighborhoods as well as yours.
Thank you.
I think what she's alluding to is the fact that we live on a secluded road with only 3 houses, and it seems like they're in front of our house. Many times during the months that this has been going on, I don't understand why we're of such particular interest, and I'm sure they're not at your places often.
They're parked at various points in the intersections where we are several times a month.
Any other public comment? Like to address future meetings? We've got a lot of them. There will be a public hearing and a special meeting 7:30 p.m. December 16 regarding the Dunsmore special use permit. There will be, incidentally, at 5:30 that same day, there will be the joint meeting of the 5 or 5:30.
I think it's 5.
I think it's 5.
5 o'clock there is a meeting of the joint councils, Granby, Volney, and the city, Fulton. Then the 7:30 hearing and meeting. Year-end bill payments and awarding the contract for fuel for the Highway Department for 1993 will be Tuesday, December 29 at 7 p.m. I'm going to ask you board members to arrive as early as you can for that. It should be a very short meeting. We will audit and have a short meeting, approve the payment of the bills, and then I thought we could meet with the candidates if that's for various offices, if that would be all right with you.
What time would you like to see?
Would be, we could tell the candidates to be here by 7:30.
Okay, so this meeting's scheduled for 7, but we're going to sign bills and then 7:30 meet with the candidates.
Right. Agreeable? Okay. There will be the organizational meeting Saturday, January 2 at 9 a.m. Is that all right with everybody?
Time again?
9 a.m.? Too early?
January 2nd, no problem.
Okay.
Hey, wait a minute, January 2nd? Oh, 1st. Okay, yes, sir.
It's a Saturday morning.
Okay, that's the afternoon.
I didn't want to wait until the following week.
The afternoon is day.
Town offices will be closed December 24 through December 27, and December 31 through January 3 for the holidays. We will audit bills January 2, 93 at 7 p.m. Regular town board meeting January 14, 7 p.m. Before I entertain a motion for adjournment, I would like to wish all of you and everybody in the town and our viewing audience a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Myron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye.